Welcome back everybody to the channel. I am Flash and thank you again for joining me. And today we have another Marvel Snap video. I want to go over today some of the new cards, some of the season pass cards. I'm sure most of you have seen them by now, but we got a nice developer update today of sorts from Ben Brode and the crew over at Marvel Snap at Second Dinner. Very cool video. If you haven't seen it, just go ahead and check it out. Go ahead on over to the Marvel Snap YouTube channel and check it out. It's pretty much everywhere at this point. Nice little thing they did there with the Sentinel Days of Future Past theme. It's very cool. It's very nice how they're putting effort and some production into these new videos about the new seasons upcoming. So I want to get into some of the cards, like I said, and first and foremost, let's get into talking about the title card for the season, right? Nimrod. So Nimrod's a 5/5, okay? And when this is destroyed, add a copy to each other location. So if you're a fan of destroy decks, meet your new friend. This is the season to buy the season pass if you are a destroy deck player. If you had been teetering in the past and you're like, I don't really, the Zabu doesn't excite me, and then MODOK is not for me, I don't really play discard, here you are. Okay, so this is gonna fit into a lot of the destroy archetypes, not necessarily every single one, but most of them. It's gonna fit into Galactus. Can definitely do some cool things with this, with Wolverine, have these things kind of bouncing all over the board. I'm curious to see how it functions if you use it with Shuri. Do we get two 10/10s getting copied? Or, because it's a 5/10, then when this gets destroyed, it just says add a copy to each other location. So that means you would have two 5/10s on the subsequent other two locations. That could be very exciting. So this might actually slot into, it wouldn't necessarily slot directly into a Shuri deck. You would have to rebuild it in a way where it's a part kind of taking advantage of Shuri, part destroy, which a lot of people probably do. You can use that with Venom, that whole Venom package, maybe Arnim Zola. There's a lot that you could possibly do with this card. Especially, like I said, the Arnim Zola effect, maybe something where you add Wong on top of it. There's a lot. There's a lot. So you should be very excited for that. Definitely seems like a card that isn't necessarily overpowered, and the problem that we ran into with Zabu and Surfer is that you could kind of just put it into anything, especially Zabu, and then just kind of make cards work, right? MODOK wasn't overpowered because it fit into a specific archetype, which was just mainly just discard. Nimrod it's strong, but it fits into one specific archetype, which is destroy. If you're not destroying it, it's just a 5/5 and it's not doing you any good. Or you're just kind of holding it and waiting for a good location like Death's Domain or something like that where you can take advantage of it, and that's not really ideal to use this in that fashion in just a 12 card deck. So I want to talk about some of these other cards though, that I'm also, some of the cards coming down that we know about. Kitty Pryde. Let's put a pin in Kitty Pryde because I want to get into that a little bit more. Which one am I? The Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Also, for you fans of Destroy, again, I like Destroy decks too, but it's up there on my list, higher on my list of decks that I like to play. It's like, but this is another good card for those Destroy packages. Also, not just specifically for destroy packages, this card fits in well in other situations. It's only a 3/2. However, this card can do well, let's say, if your opponent is playing a Shuri deck and they want to win those two locations with big power, and they have armor down in one location, can't do anything about that, but you slot this into the location that they might have the Cosmo down, and you got to make sure you have it down before they put that card down, right? But this could be, and as a 3 power, it's easy to do that. This could be very good as a tech card against those big power decks, because it's not going to do well in decks like that go wide or like Sarah decks, or it would have situational outcomes for some of the up against those other decks. But this card right here is definitely a target for the big play, big power decks, in my opinion. That's the way I see it. Master Mold. I like Master Mold here. It's a 2/2 description. On reveal, add 2 Sentinel to your opponent's hand. Right? 2/2, it's fine. This is a control card. Because guess what? Not only is it a control card, this card goes well if you're playing Ronin, right? Because you've now added 2 cards to your opponent's hand that they can't get rid of. Think about that. Because Sentinel does what? When you play Sentinel, it adds another Sentinel to your hand. You've now added 2 cards that they can't get rid of. So not only does this play well if you're playing a Ronin deck, but this plays well if your opponent is playing that discard Dracula archetype. This is, if your opponent is playing Dracula and you drop this sucker on turn 6, you've now ruined their whole play pattern. This is a control card. It's gonna fit into control decks. Heck, I would slot this into my Sarah control deck, just because at two cost, yeah, you could take out maybe Lizard or one of those cards, or maybe heck, you could even take out Scarlet Witch, and you slide Master Mold in there. Oh, it's fantastic. So I like Master Mold. I think that's going to be a popular card and that people aren't talking about as much, mainly because of Nimrod. But Kitty Pryde. And let's end everything here with Kitty Pryde, because this is a card I find myself trying to figure out. I think as the card becomes available and some people get their hands on them and we see how it functions. Now, one thing I wish the developers would do is say, okay, at the very least, right, or let's say at the most we should all get to play with these cards for like a day, right? You should have 24 hours at minimum to say, okay, these cards are available to everybody, see if you like it, whatever the case may be, and then restrict the access as normal. But at the very least, there should be developer videos about each one of these cards and how exactly they function, right? That way it's not a guessing game, because sometimes we're guessing about these cards. We were guessing about Kang for weeks. How is it going to work? How is it going to work? I want to see, okay, this card, this is its ability. This is how it could play out. This, and this. And everybody be like, oh, okay, we get it now, instead of we're just kind of guessing. Because Kitty Pryde is a card we've been kind of guessing about. Because the description reads, you can return this to your hand to gain +2 power. Now she's a 1/0. So there have been different, kind of ideas thrown about. So the way I read this, right? So you play this on turn 1. Turn ends. Now on turn 2, you can return it back to your hand. It's now a 1/2. Now my theory is that you can play it again on turn 2. But again, I'm not sure structurally if that would make sense. I don't know if once you return it to your hand, it's locked for that turn to be able to do anything. That's information we don't necessarily have yet, because that could drastically affect how powerful this card gets, right? So if it's the latter and you can't do it, it's locked each turn to have one interaction, then you bring it back to your hand on turn 2. It's now a 1/2. Then you can play it on turn 3. It's still a 1/2. And then now we're suggesting you can't pull it back into your hand until turn 4, making it a 1/4, right? And so then it gets kind of wonky. My theory is that you can play it on 1, return it to your hand on 2, and then play it again on turn 2, right? And then return it back to your hand on 3, play it again on 3, and so on and so forth. Now, that would make this card get very strong, right? But we'll see. We've yet to find out exactly. I haven't seen any videos exactly detailing how the card is played. So again, it would help if the developers got out the forefront of all these cards, especially some of these tricky cards. Some of these cards we know exactly. You look at a card like Master Mold, you know what it does. There's no guessing game. But Kitty Pryde was kind of we weren't sure. Kang, we weren't sure how it was going to work, right? But we'll see. I definitely am excited for a new season. March 6th, we got a new is the official start date for the new season. So get excited, get your last grinds up on the ladder if you're trying to get to that next tier. You got 3 days to get there. Okay, so man, just keep enjoying playing the game, and you know, we're all having fun, and let's get excited for the new season, right? Days of Future Past, Nimrod, Kitty Pryde, Master Mold, those nice variants, the Wolverine variants. I like the Wolverine variant, very slick. How many times can I say variant in one 30-second time span? But yeah, thank you guys again for joining me. Like I said, I'm Flash. This is Gaming with Flash, and I'll catch you guys next time with some more Marvel Snap videos. Peace.